Hello, everybody. This is Riot Mort with Riot Static, and we are here for the patch 11.7 Post Mortem. This is where we go over the changes we made last patch and look back on them and see how we did. Now, the good news here, it was as a small patch, so I don't think we have a lot to go over, but
That could be fortunate or unfortunate depending on who you are.
all right, let's jump right into this and see if we can get this video quick. All right, Vanguard 8, we buffed from 800 armor to 1000 armor.
Yay! I mean, this is just a mistake. I think from a previous patch, I think we just kind of misread where it was going. We saw some Vanguards popping up and Last Whisper popping up, and we kind of overreacted. And now it's just back. It's a cool option if you can stretch it there, but honestly, it's probably not really worth your time and more just for the fun.
Yep. Cool. Nidalee 3 we buffed. I thought this was a good change. I actually think it made Nidalee 3 kind of playable. She's still not your primary carry, but as a secondary carry, it was pretty fun. And with the whole new spear system, she was landing some chunky spears. I had a game on PBE where a Nidalee 3 actually one-shot my Akali 3 because it was max range. So
That's amazing. Yeah, I think with this though, after we did the change to make the distance like a bigger part of her calculation, I think she just generally falls off going to the late game because fights get so jumbled up. Her javelins are getting like intercepted often, in the midline or even close to her own face, so she's not doing a ton of damage. So she's never going to be that reliable carry. But just having those potential to like one shot even like without much items is kind of fun. So hopefully that
Yep.
worked out.
Nice. All right, Vlad 3 buff. Felt like this didn't really do anything, which means it was probably fine, probably safe. Made Vlad 3 a little better.
Yeah, that's true. I think one thing that I regret not putting in actually was just fix to when Vladimir actually if his unit dies while he's casting, he doesn't get the heal. It kind of breaks
Yeah.
his spell up, and that's something that it's just something that's like, okay, that if you're gonna put so many chips inside this basket, you don't want your spell failing. So
Yep.
that's one I wish we had put in. I think that would have made this sing a lot stronger.
Yep. I agree. Those single target spells when the target dies are always a frustrating part of the TFT experience, and I think long term we're going to have to come up with a systemic rule fix to really solve that problem.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Cool. All right, one of the real changes, Darius 3, we cut the fall off damage. How are you feeling about this one now that you looked at the data?
I mean, I was scared of this one. This is the only change I legitimately put in. And I think we talked about in the preview. I was like, this is kind of questionable, but he hasn't had a chance to really shine the entire set, and I really wanted for him to have his fun. And obviously, he's connected to Fortune, which we know is one of the most fun traits right now in the set. Definitely overshot here. I had it even at 0% at some point during the testing phase, but yeah, I think I just ended up missing here by a little bit, and in the next patch we end up correcting this a little bit. So
Yeah. It wasn't harmful though. We definitely overbuffed it here, but it didn't like break the meta. It didn't warp the meta. And so in that regard, I'm kind of glad players got to have a little fun with it. So it's like definitely a mistake, but definitely one of those mistakes that's like, no big deal.
the thing that bothered me the most actually is his tooltip looks messed up. It's just like
Oh, the
we're using like a
0.2?
weird, yeah, it
Yeah.
just looks weird. I'm just like, oh, that's just
Yeah.
annoys me.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Aurelia 3 and Yumi 3. Going to cover these together. I think these were both safe. I actually had a video, I think it was Wednesday, where I played Yumi 3 with Vanguard Mystic, and it was definitely silly and fun and not good, but like it was fun. And so both of these changes feel like they were good changes, made 3 stars more worth without breaking the meta. Seems solid to me.
Yeah, and I think had this not been a patch that was kind of around the Worlds event, like as we explained before, 11.7, even though it wasn't the patch being played, I mean, for the Fates Championship event, it was still one that the players were playing on for a week for practice. So we ended up pulling back on some changes here. Aurelia originally had a little bit of damage up on her spell as well, and Yumi had the attack speed going up as well, but then we ended up pulling that just to make sure that they didn't warp the meta in a weird way all suddenly right before the championship. So
Yeah. Which I think was the right call. So cool. All right, tier 4. I'm going to do this in 3 groups. The first group here is the Aatrox, Cho'Gath, Sejuani, and Xayah changes. These were all of the 3-star buffs. I think these were really solid, by the way. They made chasing these 3 stars a lot more worth compared to like the Aurelion Soul, the Morgana, the Talon. It felt like those were the only ones that were like really worth chasing. And now, if you can hit like a 3-star Sejuani, like that can win you the game. And so having those other outs, I think, has made the late game a bit more exciting for Fates. So to me, these were a slam dunk.
Yeah, I think the only regrets here is like maybe we should have pulled this a lot earlier, so that even in the actual championships, these would have been potential win conditions. That would have been cool to see. Anytime we can get different types of win conditions into the game and more diversity, it's always really fun. Especially if it's like,
Yeah.
Can you imagine like someone using a Sejuani and just like blowing up the other team? That should be so fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. You're right. Maybe we should have done these sooner, but lesson learned there. And it'll be different in the next set with, without Chosen. We'll have to see how often these 3 stars can really happen. So something to keep in mind as we start tuning our 3-star 4 costs and 3-star 5 costs. So
yeah. As a quick aside, Morten, as a question to you, do you think that some of our 3-star 4 costs right now inside of Fates are too strong, like Morgana and Asol, etc.?
I think Morgana is definitely too strong. With the built-in Siphoner and how much damage she does with Siphoner, she basically becomes unkillable. I don't think I've ever seen a 3-star Morgana lose with like a single defensive item. She kind of crosses the line to me as the most abusive. Yeah. Aurelion Sol is second place, but at least he requires items. Whereas Morgana, I feel like, could just do it by herself.
Yeah. It still doesn't help that, like, often when you have 3-star Morgana, you're not that far off from 3-star Talon. It's just so weird. But
yeah, Talon actually doesn't bother me that much. 3-star Talon by himself doesn't do a whole lot and still often gets insta-gibbed. But Morgana in particular is just like minus, because I don't know if you remember, but we still have the minus 80% AD reduction in there on her.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't. Sometimes we just put things in the beginning and we forget to change them later on.
Yeah, so she's lowering their AD by 80% and killing them and healing off of it. Like, she's nutty.
Yeah, that's what I felt too. I kind of felt like we should have pulled back on Morgana a little bit. But
yeah. Okay, second one I wanted to go over was Talon. This was the only one that was actually like a legitimate 1-star, 2-star buff. I feel like this was good. Interestingly enough, we saw some of this comp at Worlds, and it did okay, but Talon definitely was worthy of this buff, and I think looking at the data, it seemed to be the right call.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually back and forth on, like, should we leave him exactly the same as 11.6, 11.7, or do we give him the buff that I think he deserved? Because I think, as we spoke about before, like, Talon's just, like, slightly under the rest of the other forecast carries, and it just felt kind of mean to leave him there. So ended up doing that, and that worked out. Maybe we didn't buff the 3-star enough, but well.
I do wonder. So one of the things we'll talk about in the patch rundown is how Kale ended up near the bottom of the forecast carries after this patch. I wonder if the Talon change had anything to do with that, because I was surprised how far Kale dropped off. Any thoughts there?
Yeah. I mean, I also think the rise of our buff to Vanguard Mystic or Nico kind of maybe also hurt Kale. I think Kale's a victim of both our changes and things going on around her that probably made her less good, but yeah, it'll be interesting to talk about later.
Yep. And then Shen, this one felt like a miss to me. This was like a really cool intention in trying to make 3-star Shen a carry. It feels like a big fail here. We just didn't really do it. 3-star Shen's still not that good. I think there's also a really important lesson to be learned here for, I can't say the champion's name in the next set, that will probably have a very similar problem. So we should really take that one seriously, I think.
Yeah, I think having tanks become 3 stars, if there's no damage component, it's definitely pretty tricky. And Shen, we messed around all set and couldn't really land it. And this was kind of like a last Hail Mary and for fun. But yeah, I just ended up not being very useful.
Yep. Yeah, I wonder, yeah, something to think about. But again, we have this problem. We'll have this problem again. I'm sure someone will make a champion with 0 damage, and so we'll have to figure out how we do that. Last thing, we made some changes to MMR. This was just good because there was an issue and we fixed it. Sweet. And we fixed a bug with Zillion. So yeah, bugs fixes are good. Wish we could have got this one in for Worlds, but thankfully it didn't seem to matter. So we got through all Worlds without this bug really being an issue. So whew, we take those.
We did this.
And that's it. That was the patch. Pretty easy. So yeah, this is going to be the last patch post-mortem for a while. We typically don't do one for the last patch because everyone's too busy talking about the new set, so no one really wants to watch that anyway. And then we also don't do one for the launch patch because what are we going to do? Be like, oh, we shouldn't have launched the set. Like, that's not really useful. So our next patch post-mortem will not be until patch 11.10. So until then, I think that's it. Any closing thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I think this patch was pretty. We were definitely, our hands were kind of tied in a way, but in a good way, I think. And there's a lot to look forward to. So hope everybody's really excited for that.
Sweet. All right. Well, until patch 11.10, that's it for the patch post-mortems for a while. So until then, take it easy.